Welcome to the Wealth Project Podcast. Join us as we take the journey from employee to entrepreneur. Now your hosts, Sergio Suarez and Marcos Suarez.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Wealth Project Podcast, episode 18. I'm here with Marco. What's going on, Marco?
Not much. Welcome back, Serge. It's good to have you back this time, and I didn't forget.
Yeah, thanks for welcoming me back. Went through a nasty flu last week, so I appreciate you taking over and doing an episode. So that was awesome. Great episode, by the way. Really enjoyed watching you go on your rant.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Thank you for still editing the video and all that.
No worries. Today we have a bit of a different episode. We thought it would be really fun to take a few key businesses and just kind of narrow them down and give you some information about them and kind of just we did some research and did some analysis and found out why they're so successful and why they're doing so great. So we thought it'd be an interesting episode to do. So.
Yeah, like Serge said, it's going to be a little bit of a different one, but I think I'll kick things off here, and we'll start with a company that I'm not sure everybody's going to be familiar with, but it is one that's growing massively, and this is Tesla Inc. So if you're unfamiliar with Tesla, it is the owners are Jeffrey Straubel, Elon Musk, Martin Eberhard, and Mark Tarpenning. Sorry if I'm going to pronounce some of these names wrong, so I apologize for that now. But essentially, Tesla was founded in July 1st, 2003. It's basically an automotive company that focuses on the development of not only more eco-friendly vehicles in that they're electric, but they're also in the process of making those vehicles self-driving and completely automated. So in our research, what I found...
Correct me if I'm wrong, Marco. This is like your dream car, right?
It is my dream vehicle, yes. When we are successful, you will see me rolling around in a Tesla. Maybe not in Edmonton because we're pothole city, but... Eventually, yes, that is my dream, and that's.
Well, I'm sure they're all-wheel drive, so we could, they'll be great for the winter.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But 0 to 60 in like 2.2 seconds in the car that I want, so maybe not on the ice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, on the research that I did with Tesla, part of what me and Serge looked up is the current stock prices. So if you were to buy and invest in Tesla, and I think this is the current rate that I looked up. Yeah, I believe this is the current rate. So it is about $255 US per share that you want to buy. And so as a result of that, there's a market cap, and this is according to Forbes in 2018. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, because this is something I had to research up too, market cap is basically the number of stocks that have been purchased publicly times the share price. So at $255 US dollars per share, the current market cap is at $55 billion as of 2018 for Tesla. That's huge.
Right. Yeah.
That's
a big number, especially, this is a very young company. I mean, founded in 2003. I mean, that is that's what, 15 years ago, or actually a little bit more than 15, maybe 16 years ago. And $55 billion for a car company. These other car companies like Ford have been around since for over for 100 years, and probably worth close to the same, right? So
yeah, well, exactly. And it's just the innovation behind this company that's made this so successful, and like I said, we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go into this report. But the net worth of Tesla, so how this differs from market cap, as I said, is the cost of the shares times the amount of shares sold. So the Tesla's net worth is actually like all its assets and its deductions combined, and what it's technically worth, valued at. So Tesla's net worth, and again, this was as of 2018 or 2017. I can't remember what year I pulled this statistic from, but it is 2.2 billion. So another huge number. I mean, billions of dollars here that we're talking about. Any one of us would be happy with half of that.
Yeah.
Once again, I already touched on this a little bit, and what I said, we discussed what Tesla is, and Tesla, like I said, is an automotive company that focuses on the development of not only eco-friendly vehicles because they are electric, but they also are implementing vehicles that are self-driving and fully automated.
This technology is amazing, and I think that's being utilized by correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not sure if I'm going to spoil something that you're going to say here in the future, but something about Uber or someone that's taken advantage, I think. Did I?
You know what? I actually heard that article too, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I do believe I recall something about in the States that Uber is looking into self-driving vehicles through a partnership with Elon Musk and Tesla.
Right.
I haven't looked too much into it, but that's definitely something we should look into for a future episode.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure.
Some business news or something. And so I want to talk about a little bit why they're successful, and through the system that Tesla is implementing, and its primary founder, as I'd mentioned, world-leading innovator Elon Musk. His hope is to reduce the impact of global warming from carbon emissions of most motorized vehicles, and just to increase the general driving safety. Two of those things that are one of the most harmful things to us nowadays. I mean, practically everybody in the world now has some form of transportation in the form of a vehicle that's gas operated.
Oh, there's got to be close to almost one vehicle per person. I mean, that's got to be almost up there with that stat. You know what I mean? I mean, other than kids or anybody, underage, pretty much everybody has their own vehicle.
Yeah, and like you said, that's probably one vehicle per person. I could talk about within our family alone, we have six vehicles parked on our driveway.
I'd say some two per person.
Yeah. I own two vehicles. Our dad owns two vehicles. Sister has one. Mom's got one. You've got one. Sister-in-law's got one. So we got a ton of vehicles. So one per person is a good estimate there.
Yeah.
So like I said, those are two of the biggest impacts on both our environment today and basically this is going to sound depressing, but what's killing people, vehicle motor incidents, they're on the rise every year. And so,
yeah. And I guess that's one thing that they do really well too, is the safety feature, right?
Yeah. And that's actually what I was just about to bring up. As mentioned, by switching from gas operated to electric engines and whatnot, you reduce the emissions of carbon that are emitted from these vehicles. So, that reduces the impact of the greenhouse effect rather drastically. But the implementation, like you said, of these automated and self-driving features in Tesla vehicles is going to greatly reduce these vehicle hazards that we talked about. So, this is done through the use of sensors. And for example, if a vehicle is approaching another one in front of it too quickly, like if you're on the highway and the vehicle in front of you slams on its brakes, the vehicle actually has a sensor to record that. And this sensor will trigger and it'll automatically slow down your vehicle for you and maintain a safe distance. So that's just one of the examples.
Very cool.
The other example is for switching lanes. If there's a vehicle, in your blind spot and you don't check and you try to switch lanes, there's sensors on the Teslas that will actually detect that vehicle in your blind spot, and it won't actually allow you to switch lanes. So that's pretty cool the way these sensors work.
Mm-hmm.
I actually even saw one vehicle, or I read an article the other day. One guy tried to credit Tesla with basically saving him from like a life ending, like a pretty drastic crash. And he claimed that the vehicle automatically swerved out of one lane into a different lane just to avoid an oncoming collision. And in the video, there was actually a collision, and you can see his vehicle swerving into a different lane. He claims the vehicle did that automatically. He had nothing to do with it. And he credits Tesla with potentially saving his life.
His life. Wow. Yeah. I got to laugh. There's also that video, the guy on the freeway, and he's sleeping.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, wow, he's just passed out. I mean, that'd be amazing. I mean, I'm not a morning person, so that'd be fantastic. Just be able to. I mean, I'm sure you're not supposed to, clearly, but man, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you just punch in the address on the navigation system there, take a quick nap.
Yeah, and it's got quite a huge navigation. I mean, there's no, and I don't know for those of you who haven't seen what a Tesla looks like on the inside, there is no speedometer, like the traditional, you got your speedometer and all your gauges in front of you. You've got a steering wheel and a plain dash in front of you. Everything is on this massive screen that's sitting right center in the console.
You're basically driving a computer in a Tesla. that's
computer on wheels.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a laptop on wheels.
Absolutely. Got a giant, like, TV-sized tablet that you control everything on.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know what's pretty crazy about the Teslas is that when you switch from gas to electric, you actually save so much money. Like the price of a Tesla vehicle is pretty expensive, but you save that in the gas prices, because if you're in Canada right now, you know how high gas prices out there in Vancouver. They're almost reaching $2 a liter.
Yeah.
So you save that, and I've read in places that the charge actually some of the charges on these vehicles can last 3 times what a tank of gas can for a vehicle. So that's pretty awesome if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean it's something else when you get home and you plug your car in. The outlet in your wall, like it's just
yeah, exactly.
So correct me if I'm wrong too, but Tesla is also in the market of providing power to houses. Like they have like these battery packs that you can buy, I think, that are made by Tesla that you can put into your house, and basically it uses solar to charge and anything that's, and it stores energy. And you can have a battery pack that's really thin. It looks like you can hang it on a wall, or that you do hang it on a wall. It's very small, and it just provides your house with power.
Yeah, that's actually true too. And I did read about that, but I don't know how far they got into that, because I think it was back in 2015 where they introduced these little battery packs. And they literally, if you go look at your internet router, it looks exactly like your internet router. And it's one of those, and I believe a couple solar panels that you just place up on your roof, and it can actually power like a 1,500 square foot home based on this little battery pack.
I've heard that they've also come up with, and this is the cool part, and when we're speaking why the business is so successful is because of the innovation. It's the first of its kind in many different ways. So one other thing that I heard about is they're actually creating these roof shingles that are, they look like regular, the old, like, what you see in Europe. They got the clay roof shingles that are kind of like, the orange ones or whatever, but the same kind of style, but they're actually solar panels. So it's like transforming your whole roof into a giant solar panel.
So I love Tesla, and I didn't even know about this one. So I can have to check this out.
It's amazing. I mean, they're always up to something, and that's Elon Musk he's very genius kind of guy. He's always thinking. He's always probably he sits around and he probably just thinks of new ideas, and then I'm sure he's had tons of ideas, and the biggest part about owning a business is having advisors, because he's probably run through 100 different ideas and had guys say, okay, well, hold on, Elon, like, one step at a time here. We're not going to change the world here in just a few years, right?
And that's what I love about Elon too. And there was another story, I seen the picture, so I don't know if it's true, but I do know that Elon he's a very great Twitter personality. He's always interacting with his Twitter following, and
he's down to earth. Yeah,
he's very down to earth, easy to get along with guy. And there was one that I seen where it was like, somebody was like, hey, Elon, how about in one of the future Teslas, we introduce like a seating so that you could put your dog in a crate, but it's like the crate is secured, so it's like a seatbelt for the dog crate, and that's just better safety for dogs when they're in vehicles too. And then his response was, done. That's awesome. Like, that's the kind of innovation,
because he loves that, right? And
he's taking ideas from people, and that's great.
That's great. He's listening to his consumers, his customers, which is huge. It's a huge thing in business too. Listening to your customers. A lot of times people don't do that. I mean, sometimes, like you just said, they will tell you what they want, because I mean, how much easier does it get when a customer tells you, hey, this is what I need, this is what we're looking for, and then they're pretty much telling you that they're going to buy it already. They're telling you that there's a market for that already. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal.
Exactly. Like I said, the dog crate idea, if you're a fan, like if you're animal lovers like me and Serge are, that's genius. That's reason enough to buy a Tesla.
Exactly.
Keep your dog safe on a road trip. Heck yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's Tesla. Super, super interesting company. I mean, I bet you we could sit here and talk about them for hours, and all the different things that Elon Musk is probably, coming up with and all that. But
and I just want to close with one thing, and it's going to sound a little bit depressing, but the top reason, like, basically everything that we talked about. And then given the state of the world today, and everybody, like, it's not just me saying this, and, you know, it's been proven by scientists everywhere. The effects of global warming are at the top of, like, the national crises everywhere, and it should be at the top of everyone's concerns. So it's for these reasons, coupled with, like we said, talking to consumers. But, like, you can see why Tesla, as young of a company as Serge had mentioned it is, why it is just exploding, and it's such a popular business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of a kind. It's intuitive. It's got, you know, the innovation that's in this vehicle. I mean, you don't see it anywhere else. And actually now you're only starting to see it now, because they've set the bar for a whole new market. I mean, you got these other companies that have been in the market for years, like Chevy Chevy has the Leaf, which is its first fully electric car. And then there's a couple other ones. I can't remember the names of them, but, you know, that so Tesla set the bar, set the tone for that. And because they did that, and they were the first to do it, as long as they play their cards right and they continue to run their business successfully, they'll always be that far ahead of everybody.
Exactly. And that's what Tony Robbins says. If you're the first to do something, it's pretty hard to get knocked out.
Exactly. I mean, we spoke about that before in previous episodes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving along, you know, my first company that I'm going to talk about is a company that I really respect. Another very young company. You know what? I didn't look at the year it was established. I think it was in 2000 and. Sorry.
Wait, let me pull up a quick Google search.
Yeah, if you can look it up. But that's Amazon, and the owner, Jeff Bezos. You know, he created a company that, again, it's the first of its kind. It set the bar, the tone for a huge for the commerce market by going into e-commerce, which, you know, online commerce. So.
Yeah, and this is actually pretty surprising, because I thought it was fairly younger, like you had mentioned, but actually Amazon.com was founded by Jeff Bezos on July 5th, 1994.
Okay, I was going to say 95, 94. But keep this in mind. This was not what it is today. In 1994, it was a book. It was a book website.
Yeah,
so it just strictly sold books online. That's what it started off as. And then it quickly grew into something that, you know, even book companies wanted to, I think, and I read somewhere that there was some of the major book companies, and I can't think of the names of them because I don't pay attention to what the book companies are, but they wanted to, like maybe Barnes and Nobles or something like that. Maybe one of them, but they wanted to, like, sue him because they were, you know, he was kind of taking the bookstore game, you know, out, you know, he was knocking them out of the market. So, and then he did that on a whole other scale later on, which I'll get to in a bit here. But yeah, so basically Jeff Bezos, you know, creator of Amazon. Basically
what you're saying is Jeff Bezos is to streaming, or is to bookstores what streaming was to Blockbuster.
Exactly. Absolutely. and to, on a higher scale, you know, he's to shopping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's creating online shopping. I mean, and it's like I said, I'll get more to it now, but I mean, nowadays you can find, you name anything on Amazon, and we've talked about this in previous episodes. There's shops closing down daily because of, and I would say because of Amazon. They're not the only company out there doing this right now, but they were the ones that set the tone, just like Tesla. But sorry, I'm jumping ahead here, just because I love talking about this company so much. But stock price. So stock price for per share for Amazon right now, currently, when I looked it up here a few days ago, was $1,840 per share. That's quite high. So that put the company value, and now this is the overall value of the company. I don't know, and I can't remember. I didn't go as detailed as you, Marco, with the stock share or stock market value.
Yeah.
But this is the overall company value is at $167 billion. This is an online market. There is no physical product. This is what blows me away.
Yeah. So this is e-commerce. So when you compare it to what I just spoke about, Tesla, you think automotive, way more expensive for a vehicle. Shouldn't it be valued higher? Well, you look at this. You almost tripled what Tesla was worth.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the differences, you've got a car which has capital, it has costs, right? You got to create the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazon, they don't like all their costs are just to run the website and to have some distribution centers, so some employees. That's about it. They're not even selling their own products. Their products come from suppliers, and people are running you open up an Amazon store, people open up Amazon stores through the Amazon Associates program, and they're the ones running the stores. It's like it's a self-running business almost, and people are wondering, well, then how did you get the 2-day shipping? Well, how that works is if you own an Amazon store, and we spoke about this in the previous episode on a couple of different, when I think it was the episode we did a couple different businesses you can start online. You can start an e-commerce store through Amazon and get your things shipped directly to their Amazon warehouse. And then for every sale that you make on your store, Amazon will ship it directly to the customer within a day or two. And even to go towards, like, we're saying their only costs are their employees and all that. They're still there. If you've ever looked at inside an Amazon warehouse, it is so automated, it's unbelievable. I mean, you've got these machines that come up the aisles, pick the box off the shelf, come down. Like there's not a person sitting there on a forklift bringing boxes down and sorting things anymore. It's done all through machinery and automated. So there is some innovation there as well. So they're the first of that kind.
And it's so genius the way that Amazon operates. And we, like you said, we've talked about this in previous episodes, and the way their affiliate system works. It is affiliate marketing, which is something that we're tinkering with right now. But when you look at the commission value of their affiliate marketing, it's not the highest on the market. There's commission values out there where you can earn 50%. Amazon pays, I think, 5 or 6% or something like that. So you're still going to make like crazy profit because you're using Amazon's foundation and you have access to their popularity.
Yeah.
But at 6%, it's not the highest, and it still dominates the industry.
Absolutely. And even for those that own the store, so you're talking about affiliate marketing, but when you go into e-commerce and open up an actual Amazon store, they keep, I think it's only, I think they keep like 10% or something like that. I think it's even under 10% of the profit. So you keep the rest of the profit, right? So
yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing platform. So yeah, those of you that don't know, what Amazon is, and I guess we kind of explained what it is now. They're basically an e-commerce. They're an online store. They use cloud computing, like and artificial intelligence, like I said, in their warehouses to operate very efficiently, very cost effectively. They're simply the largest e-commerce marketplace out there right now. Like we said, you could find anything, you name it. I mean, you point at something in your house, you can probably find it on Amazon. So I mean, it's huge, and it's the first of its kind, and it's setting the tone for commerce in general, for stores. I mean, that people, we talked about this tons of times in news articles of all these stores shutting down for they're shutting down locations and shutting down. This is because online shopping, it's becoming a huge thing.
And I just want to make the point on we're talking about these companies are so successful because of the innovation behind them. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jeff Bezos is such an innovator that he just recently took the top spot. I think it was from Bill Gates or a different person, as the richest man alive with the highest net worth.
I believe you're right. Yeah, I think he was up there. I think he passed them. I think they're like, kind of tinkering back and forth, but he's definitely up there for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't have that exact.
But back in the day, there was no question about who the world's richest man was, but
it was Bill Gates for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you look at the innovators out there, and it's a competition. So,
and I mean, that's, he's climbed up to those kind of levels in maybe the last 5, not even 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He just skyrocketed. So, why a business like this is so successful? Simply put, Bezos has always pushed Amazon to be cheaper and better than the competition. I mean, isn't that basically, the rule of thumb of business? And what, it's what it seems simple, and a simple concept, but the way he's done it is he's done it very successfully.
You know, can I put a comment in that? I like what Amazon does is because by allowing people to create like their own sort of e-commerce store, Amazon pits its competition against itself. You know, like two people could be selling the same product, but now they have to price against each other on the same platform, and so the prices get cheaper. So like that's kind of genius.
Yeah, I mean they're making people battle. They're battling against each other, but Amazon's making money on both sides.
Exactly. Their biggest competitor is themselves.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And you know that they kind of took, and it's not a completely brand new model, because if you look at eBay's been around for a while. I mean, Amazon has completely I would think destroy eBay, right? I mean, eBay, you don't hear it. It's still around. It's still very useful, and people do use it every day, but it's not nearly at what it was 10 years ago, right? So
kind of embarrassing to admit, but I forgot eBay even existed.
That's right. eBay. I mean, most businesses and a lot of what's that? Sorry?
eBay was a thing, or is a thing. I don't know.
It is a thing. It still is a thing. And, you know, a lot of businesses, what they'll do is they'll take it, a concept, and they just make it better. They one up the competition, and by doing that, and by having that drive to do that, you become successful. I mean, look at Facebook. Facebook was not the first ever social media platform of its kind. They didn't, you know, they weren't the first, you know, there was so many before that. There was the Nexopia or whatever it was before that. And, you know, there was a couple more even before that. They just took MySpace. Yeah. They just took an idea and they implemented it, and they wound up everybody on it, and they did it that much better, and just dominated the market. And so that's what Amazon did. They took this concept, and they do two things. There's, you know, when it comes to business, you've got two basically decisions that you can become, especially in retail.
Actually, can I just stop you there to make to go back on the point that you had in eBay, because we talk about if you're the first to do what you do, it's going to be pretty hard to knock you out. And Amazon can actually credit themselves as being founded before eBay. Amazon was founded on July 5th, 1994. eBay didn't come out until a year later, in September 3rd, 1995. So just after. So once again, Amazon's the first to do what they do.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Right. But to go back on that point, Amazon was only a bookstore before.
That's right. And eBay started as an online auction service.
Online auctions, exactly. So,
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So, like I was saying before, it's very important for businesses. I mean, sorry, there's two different kinds of missions, I guess, or concepts that businesses can run off, especially retail. And that's price, and or product quality. Okay. So if you're any business in the world, you're one of those two things. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of both. So right now, if you go into price, so why do most people shop at Walmart?
Oh, save money.
Exactly. It's a cheap place to go to buy things, right? Things are affordable, you know, and they've got everything. They've got a variety of everything. So, you know, Walmart, and I forgot the creator. I had the name of the guy that started Walmart. He has a funny story. And actually, I'm just gonna tell you this story. I heard it the other day. I was listening to Ty Lopez, and he was telling me the story of the creator, of the guy that started Walmart. Mm-hmm. He used to spend 8 hours. He spent like 8 hours in his competitor's store, analyzing every single bit of that store to see what they were doing that made them so successful, and what he could do to do better. Because remember, we got to one up the competition.
Yeah, that's right.
And to the point where he apparently has all these embarrassing stories. Where in Brazil he was caught on his hands and knees measuring aisles. He was measuring the width of the aisles to see if there was something related to the width of the aisles and how people bought product. I mean,
maybe he was just testing the tape measure in that store.
That's right. Yeah, the quality of the tape measure, right?
Yeah, that's hilarious. But like you said, Walmart. As you mentioned it, the one thing that popped in my head is we're rolling back the prices. That's such a catchy commercial every time they roll back the prices.
Yeah. And what are they doing now to stay in the market?
Oh,
They
they're
went
online.
online.
Yeah,
They went online. They're a smart company. So we spoke about this in previous episodes. They went online. They're doing, they're trying to innovate. They're trying to do the whole, because they got into grocery shopping, right? So now every Walmart has a freaking grocery store, basically. So it literally is your one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And now they're just taking all that and moving it online, and now they're offering even delivery services now, right? So it's competition, right? They're trying to be they're essentially trying to compete with Amazon.
Yeah.
So they've got a good product, and people will spend the money to buy it because they love the product. It's the quality of the product is there, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a company, you're either one or the two. Well, Amazon has both. Amazon does both of them, and no single company. It's not easy for any single company to execute these two types of missions, and they do both. They have good quality products, and they have cheap products. They're dominating both ends of the spectrum here. So that's a really big part of why they're successful.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to, like we said, they're their own competitor, and like you said, that's kind of cool the way you gave those two examples, and then you did make a point that Amazon does combine those two, and it's crazy to think about. But yeah, there's no arguing that they do combine the two. I mean, some of the highest quality products you're going to find are on Amazon for the cheapest prices.
Exactly. And you can buy things that are worth thousands of dollars. There's not things that are, only expensive or only cheap. They offer both, and they offer good quality products for decent price. They even have their own line now, and I forgot the name. I just bought some, USB cords that are, they're the Amazon brand.
Is that right?
They're super cheap. They're a super cheap brand, and they're good quality brand. So
look that up.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. Something like Trends or something, or I can't remember. Anyways, yeah. While you're looking that up, I'll go to my my next point here. So in the book Simplify, and there's a book called Simplify: How the Best Businesses in the World Succeed. It's by Richard Koch. He explains that there's only two types of businesses that win over time. It's price simplifiers like Walmart, and proposition simplifiers. So quality and proposition simplifiers it kind of goes with the quality, right? So to add to quality, one of the major components of quality is simplicity. So if you look at why Apple is so successful, Apple offers an iPhone, and they offer one phone, the iPhone. And that's it. It's simple. It's an easy decision for customers, because as much as customers say they like choice, people do not like choice. They like to be kind of told what to buy. What's the next big thing? What's the newest thing? I want that new thing. That's, businesses are telling people essentially what to buy by going viral, right? So they go viral on their business. So like, the next Apple, whatever 30 that's out right now. I don't even know what Apple they're at now. I think 10. Is it 10?
I believe it's
11, 13.
I don't own an Apple phone myself, but
me neither.
That's actually a point that we made in a previous episode too, is that when you look at Apple's competitors, the biggest competitor is Samsung, and Samsung offers the Galaxy, the Edge, the Note, all these different products, and you look
so
at
many
Apple,
different kinds.
And Apple still competes with them by launching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
One phone at a time.
Genius.
They say, here's our one phone. That's it. Right. And yes, they have a tablet. Okay. So they have one tablet, and then they offer, a type of laptop, the Mac Pro or whatever. That's it. It's very simple. And even their design is simple. If you look at everything about Apple, and I think we spoke about this in previous episodes, we talked about Apple, everything's so simple. The design is simple. You walk into an Apple store, it's laid out simple. It's the minimalist approach to Apple is absolutely phenomenal. It's simple, and people like that, and that's one of the reasons they're successful. But that's kind of going off topic.
Yeah, I'll cut you off there. I just wanted to go back to the Amazon brands that you were talking about. It actually turns out that Amazon has quite a few brands, and one of them is Pinzon.
Okay.
There's Amazon Basics, Amazon Elements, WAG, Mama Bear, and then Wickedly Prime, Amazon Fresh, Happy Belly. And these are all different products. Some of them are electronics, some of them are food, some of them are dog products.
Okay, so which one's the electronics?
It looks like that would be the Amazon Basics. It says Amazon Basics is a private label that offers home goods, office supplies, and tech accessories.
That's what it was. So I had bought a USB cord. It was Amazon Basics. And I mean, it's an awesome quality USB cord, and it was so cheap. So yeah, there you go.
That's interesting.
So most firms are lucky to be competitive just in one of those things. So when I was mentioning, either you've got product quality and simplicity, which is a factor of the quality, and pricing, just to be successful in one of those things is really hard to do. But Amazon, like we mentioned, does it for both. So it's an absolutely phenomenal business. So well done, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, definitely. That was some good research, so appreciate that. The next company we'll jump into here, and this is one that I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of by now, and it's Netflix. So Netflix, it was founded by Mark Randolph and Wilmot Reed Hastings Jr. And it was actually founded in 1997. And I didn't know this myself because I thought Netflix was just like such a recent thing. And when it's
97.
Yeah, so actually what Netflix started off as was a movie rental business. So similar to how Amazon started off as a bookstore, Amazon or Netflix actually started off as DVD or movie rentals, and then they basically transitioned later on. They transitioned it into strictly DVD delivery. So they would deliver DVDs to your house, kind of like the Blockbusters. Blockbusters never used to do that, but that's basically what they were known for back in those days. So the stock price of Netflix right now is about $355.61 US per share, and as of 2018, according to Forbes, their market cap was $141.9 billion US. Now, their current market cap is actually increased because that was in 2018, and I was actually able to find their current market cap. So I believe this was as of 2 days ago. Their market cap is increased by 20 billion to 163.16 US, or $163.16 billion US, and that's for an online streaming service. So imagine that.
Wow. And you know what? They've got there's one thing that if you're in the online business, and it's a gold mine, and that's subscription services. That's month to month payment. Every single month you're getting paid. That's absolutely genius by their part.
Yeah, exactly. And so for those of you who don't know what Netflix is, we kind of described it a little bit already, but Netflix Inc. operates, and this is taken directly from the internet here. So Netflix Inc. operates as an internet subscription service company, which provides subscription service streaming movies and TV episodes over the internet and sending DVDs by mail. The company operates its business through the following segments: domestic streaming, international streaming, and domestic DVD. So the way it operates, it basically obtains content from various studios and other content providers through a fixed fee license and revenue sharing agreements and direct purchases. So basically everything that they do, they get for a fixed price.
I'm going to cut you off. And they kind of took, something that everybody was doing anyway, and it was streaming movies. And to me, they took advantage of that and kind of created a business.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up in my next point here.
I just spoiled that. Sorry.
No. That's perfect, because that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm going to give my own take here on why it was so successful. And basically, they took advantage of the growing trend in streaming, and they were the first, as always, to really capitalize on it. Because when you think about it, I thought time really flies, because I was looking up when they started streaming, and I was like, Netflix isn't that old, maybe 5-6 years. It's actually in 2007 when Netflix started streaming their online streaming service.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they seen such success in their online streaming service that they decided to go international. And it was in 2010 when they expanded internationally by making their content and services available in Canada. And then that was followed by Latin America and the Caribbean. So when that became a breakthrough for them, and that was, like you said, that was so successful for them because of a subscription service and the price it was that they offered it for. When Netflix first came out, what was it? $4 was it? $4?
Yeah, it was quite cheap. I think it was like $4.99, or it was around $4 or $5. Yeah.
Yeah, so $4.99, and you had access to, there weren't, movies that just came out in theater, but you had access to hundreds of movies. And basically, when you compared it to going to the movie theater and checking out that one movie, $15 for a movie, and then popcorn and everything, $30 for one movie, when you could pay $4.99 a month, watch as many movies as you want, is genius. I don't know how,
Yeah.
how you managed to make that deal work. Like I said, they operate through fixed fee licenses, but I don't know how they profited through that, and I want to look into that more. But it was completely genius.
Yeah, just to kind of go on to what you were saying, one thing they haven't tapped into, so that just got my brain working, was movies that are in theaters. So Netflix, if anybody's listening to this, here's an idea. Take your movies, take movies that are in theaters, offer them on your Netflix, but for a price. The same price that the people would pay to go see it in the theaters. There's a little untapped market for you.
Well, why would you give that to Netflix? We should be stealing this. You better not be emailing them right now.
You better go patent that, yeah, and then Netflix will buy that off of me. But
yeah,
there's an idea.
Go. But you know how they kind of counteracted that new movie market, and this is where their next breakthrough came through, is that they got involved in the content creation industry, which we now know as Netflix originals, which is huge.
I absolutely love Netflix originals. They do a great job.
So such a great job. Netflix originals, like, I don't know how they did it. Like I said, with that budget of $4.99 per person, it was hard to imagine up until this point when I did this research. It was like $4.99 per person when they started, but they've upped that price obviously as they got more successful. And I think now it's like $12.99 per person. But
right, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, they've got absolutely like millions and millions, right? So like, even if you take 1 million subscribers, you times that by $10 a person, you've got $10 million per month.
Yeah,
per month. That's insane. Like that's a low spectrum. That's low.
Exactly, and that's where my next point came in. And I was kind of thinking about that too. And I said, 1 million. When you look at it, the population of America itself is 400 million people. So 1 million is very low for them to have a $10.99 subscription. And so I looked it up, and they're basically they were so successful in every step that they took. By the end of 2016, Netflix was operating in over 190 countries. So forget just America. If even 10% of America, 40 million people at $5 a month, that's the money that they're making on those movies. But then you times that by the 190 countries, over 190 countries they're operating in. Like, Jesus, imagine having
so
that.
Now they're marketing out to billions of people.
Exactly. Imagine having that cash in your pocket every month.
Monthly.
That's what another thing that, like we said already, the subscription service that's monthly is why they're so successful. It's not like a one-time purchase like a lot of these things. Like with Tesla, you buy your vehicle and it's good for 10 years, or with Amazon, you go and you buy a book and it's good for whatever. These people we have to pay as subscribers to Netflix. We have to pay monthly. So that's huge. That's a market that we should everybody should try and get involved in if you can get a monthly subscription.
And if you think about it, I mean, prices have tripled.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's still cheap. I mean, don't get me wrong, $12, but prices have tripled, and I haven't even thought twice of canceling.
No, exactly. Me neither. And that goes back to like we've said a couple times now. There's so many competitors out there now. There's Crave. There's what's that other one that just there's Hulu is out there.
Hulu, yeah.
There's so many competitors out there now, but Netflix still dominates the industry, and that showed in their market cap, because like I said, in 1 year they increased their market cap by $20 billion in 1 year.
My God.
So as Tony Robbins, and as we've been saying through this entire episode, they were the first to do it, and it's going to be hard to take them out.
Absolutely. And, going into taking your competitors basically out of the game, look where Blockbuster ended up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Movie rentals are gone. And that's kind of ironic, because that's what Netflix started as DVD and movie rentals. So
they essentially took out their own market.
Blockbuster should have followed in their footsteps, and maybe they'd still be around.
You know what? Yeah, absolutely. If Blockbuster was as well, just as good a ran company as Netflix is, they would have done what Walmart's doing in the e-commerce and jumping on board, right? And doing what the trend is. You got to pay attention to what trends are. Trends are huge, and if you pay attention to them, they'll you can stay ahead of the trends, or at least stay just behind. You're not the first to do it, but you're the next person to do it, and stay competitive. You can still do all right. You don't have to be the top guy.
I'll say it right now. I think if Blockbuster had gotten into the market first, Netflix probably wouldn't exist today, because Blockbuster was such a well-known name, and everybody knows Blockbuster.
And you might be right. Yeah, you imagine if Blockbuster offered online streaming at the time. That's yeah.
But that goes back to just how genius Netflix was at the time, because 2007, who knew online streaming would be as big as it is today? I think that must have been like a risk on their part to get invested in that industry, because 2007, the internet's not around that long. But
yeah, I mean, at that time, it's probably only around for like 10 years or whatever, or 15 years max.
Yeah, so to make that prediction and do that in 2007, that was pretty ballsy and beneficial.
Yeah, and like
Netflix.
like we were saying, they took something that was already happening. I mean, people were streaming movies, people were downloading movies, right? And they're like, well, hey, let's take advantage of this. Let's make it convenient, because people love convenience. So let's make it convenient for them to stream movies and just charge them a small fee every month. And if by, and it was so small that it was it was a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, what's $4 a month? I mean, that's a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like, to watch unlimited movies. I mean, you couldn't even do that at Blockbuster. You'd go rent, I think it was like, $6-7 for a week rental, but you had one freaking movie. I mean,
late fees.
And late fees. Yeah. There's only so many times you could freaking watch that one movie, right? Where they had a whole library of movies that were available to you for $4 a month. It was like, duh, of course I'm going to do that. It's a no-brainer. So they left, like we were going back to my point previously. They were telling you what to do. People like ease, and basically they were making it such a no-brainer, and that people were doing it, and people were spreading the word because it was such an unbelievable thing that was happening at the time. It was, hey, you could pay $4 a month and you can go watch as many movies as you want right now, and the word of mouth probably spread, and they just blew up, right? So,
oh, for sure, like you said, it's just genius at that point in time.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I guess we'll move on to the final, my final, and the final one for the podcast. As obviously we love talking about these companies, and this podcast has gone a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But once me and Marco get rolling and talking about companies and business, we absolutely just can talk forever. So I've actually,
our new editor is not going to be very happy.
That's right. Yeah. But the next one I want to talk about is Berkshire Hathaway, and I'm so excited to talk about this because I get just the tingles even talking about this guy, Warren Buffett. I mean, absolute genius, absolute role model, mentor of mine. I mean, I absolutely love this guy, but I can't give him all the credit because I'm talking about the company, and the company Berkshire Hathaway, which is owned by Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So I mean, don't leave Charlie Munger out. If you ever get a chance to read about what Charlie Munger, and I think he has a few books out there. I mean, absolutely genius. I mean, Warren Buffett didn't team up with him for no reason. So here's a couple of numbers to just absolutely amaze you. Their stock price is at $306,000 US per share. We were talking about this before the show. You pretty much have to sell your house to buy a Berkshire Hathaway share.
Yeah, and it depends on what market you're in. Like if you're in Florida, I know houses out there are a little bit cheaper, but so you'd have to sell 3 houses to get that.
That's right. Yeah, sell a couple houses, but that's unbelievable. And like I said, I don't have the company, the market value, but I do have the company value. The company is valued, and these are with assets. Don't get me wrong; these are with assets at $620 billion. I mean, they're on their way to $1 trillion. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
All in investments.
If you take all the market values of the companies we had just spoken about and combine them, it still doesn't reach Berkshire Hathaway.
That's right.
It probably reaches about half of what Berkshire Hathaway is. And that's
exactly.
When you ran these numbers by me earlier, I was just kind of mind blown. I had to take a minute. I was like, wait, you sure you got the right numbers on here?
Absolutely, man. That is absolutely correct. So I just realized that on my notes that I didn't write the proper business brand on there, but basically for those of you that don't know what Berkshire Hathaway, it's essentially it's the investment company that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger used. It's their holdings company, I guess you can call it, that they use to run their investment businesses. So they're big. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are both big time investors. They invest in big companies that have been around for a long time, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later. But I got to get to why is it so successful? Easy, Warren Buffett. I mean, it comes down to that.
End of discussion.
End of title. Done.
Yeah.
Finish the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. That's all you need to know. Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. So basically, I'm gonna talk about Warren Buffett and why, because of why Berkshire Hathaway is so successful is because of his investments. And why is he such a successful investor? One of the reasons is because he started young, and this is absolutely amazing. This is crazy. When I read up on this, the first time I ever read up on Warren Buffett, this is one of the reasons I absolutely fell in love with them. He was interested in investing and in business at a very, very young age. He started really, really young. When he was, just in elementary school, and just a little schoolboy, he would spend, all his friends would be out playing at the park. He'd be spending his time at a client lounge of a regional stock brokerage near the office of his father's office space. So he'd go hang out in this brokerage office, stockbroker office, and just kind of, learn and absorb. And he's always just been so interested in business and in stocks. So at the age of 10, he visited the New York Stock Exchange. So he was so interested in going. I mean, most kids, you think about, they're interested in going to Disney World.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett's Disney World was the New York Stock Exchange. He was so interested in going there and seeing, the zoo that is the New York Stock Exchange when it's running. But at the age of 10, I mean, that's unbelievable. At the age of 11, he purchased his first shares. So he made his first investment at the age of 11. So he bought three shares of a company called Cities Service, and I'm not too familiar with the company, but he bought the 3 shares for himself and 3 for his sisters. So he bought 6 shares in total at the age of 11. In high school, and I read another thing that I don't have here, but at the age of 16, his total net worth was $50,000 in our current, it'd be I guess what you'd say at our time right now, worth now.
So you had mentioned earlier, we were talking about Warren Buffett, and he's 90 now.
I believe close to, if not, yeah, around 90. Yeah.
So 16, that would have been about 74 years ago. So imagine in 1950, he was worth $50,000 at the age of 16,
just from his investments. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's the price of 2 houses back then.
Probably, right? I mean, yeah. Unbelievable. So
pretty impressive for age 16. I'm taken back by 10 years old, 11 years old. He's doing all this stuff.
10 years old. Yeah. 11 years old.
At 10. I think I was raising my Neopet.
That's right. Yeah. Playing Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. I was still getting my trading cards.
To age of 10, I think I was playing Pogs. Okay. I'm just going to age myself now, marbles.
Yeah.
But anyways, age 11, bought his first 3 shares. In high school, he invested in his first business that his father purchased. So he invested in his father's business. And he also bought a farm where he worked by that was worked by a tenant farmer. So he bought a farm, had a tenant, so he was the landlord, had a farmer live on it and take care of the farm, and made money and paid his tenant to run it. So this is all at the age of 18. He was in high school,
and he owns a farm.
He owns a farm and invested in his father's business.
Yeah, no kidding. I can't even do that, and I'm almost twice his age.
Right. Well, I guess the point here is he started really young. He's been so passionate about it from such a young age that he's continued. He's almost 90, or if not 90, or in his late 80s. At the age of 10, that's 70 some years ago, 80 years ago. So he's got that many years.
I pulled it up here for you. He is 88 years old. He was born in 1930. So in 1946, not even 1950, he was worth $50,000.
Absolutely. Exactly. Unbelievable. And he's been doing it for
almost 100 years, man.
Yeah, he's been doing it for almost 100 years. Unbelievable. So, the guy knows what he's doing. There's a great saying that Charlie Munger says, and I always repeat it in my head. And one of my mentors, Ty Lopez, always says it: go to bed every day a little bit more wiser. And I love that, because one of the things that Warren Buffett does is he reads 600 to 1,000 pages every single day to stay on top of the market, to stay on top of the news, to know exactly everything that's going on. And this is why he's so successful in investing.
Can you imagine his reading speed, though? 600 to 1,000 pages a day. I can't even read that in a month.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I barely read that in a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people don't read that in a year.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Actually, no, sorry. With social media, they're reading memes or whatever, so, they might get up to like 200-300 a month. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Still. Not even close.
Useful information. Yeah.
Yeah. That's unreal.
So one of the key components that Warren Buffett did is he took action. He did things. It doesn't matter. He didn't care how old he was, or if people told him he couldn't do this, or if people told him he couldn't do that. He just did it. And he wasn't afraid to fail. And one of the key components of being successful in business is not being afraid to fail, and get rejected. So his biggest mentor, the person he loved, he followed the most, actually rejected him from his company. He wanted to go work for him at a young age, and he turned him away. He said, and as a matter of fact, he told him to stay away from the stock market. And that is quoted on and I bet you he regrets that now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how bad do you think he regrets that now?
Exactly. But exactly. And even through all that, even though his favorite mentor told him never to invest in the stock market, and he got rejected from the business, he still took action. He believed in what he wanted to do, and he still did it.
Well, what's the saying nowadays? No risk, no reward, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's the essential of investing. That's the essential investing. That's the holy grail of investing.
Exactly.
So, so what he did here is he took a traditional investing and he made it his own. So
sorry, can I interrupt there? You had mentioned his mentor. Did you get a name on that guy?
I didn't. I didn't have. I don't have it on my notes here, but it would be quick Google. I think it was.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I didn't get the name, but anyways, there's this thing called, and if you ever have read the book The Purple Cow by Seth Godin, there's a thing called the purple cow theory, and we've talked about this theory throughout every single business that we just spoke about, and that's being original, being different. There was in Seth Godin, I think the inspiration behind this book was with all these businesses, he used it as a metaphor, and he, as he was going past a field of cows, he goes, if all those cows were businesses, those wouldn't impress me. But if you put a purple cow in the middle of that group of cows, then I'd be really attracted to it and being, what's going on, right? It'd be that difference, right? And that's what every single one of these companies have done. They've done something different. They've created the purple cow, and that's the purple cow theory. So Warren Buffett did this in his own way. He took a traditional investing, which was, everybody looked at finances and they looked at numbers and dollar values. Well, Warren Buffett didn't look at that. His philosophy was based around the way a business was ran. So he looked at things like management. He looked in depth of how they ran their business, not just dollar value. And he looked at businesses that he believed that because they were ran so well and they were managed so well, that they would be around for a very long time. So he knew that his money was safe in these investments. He knew that these companies would thrive for many, many, many years.
Just talk about the genius of the man, eh?
Exactly.
Just to know that stuff. And just to go back, shame walk on this guy for turning down Warren Buffett, but his mentor was Benjamin Graham.
That's right. There you go. There you go. So, Yeah, so he essentially created this way of investing, and it's actually a very popular way of investing now. A lot of investors have taken this method and use it for themselves and have become very successful. So some of the companies that he looked into that were well ran and he invested in at very early in a very long time ago, companies like Coca-Cola. I think he's been an investor since like the 50s or something like that for Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola has made him quite a bit of money. I'm sure the stock has jumped in the last 50 years quite a bit. So
quite a bit, yep.
Yeah. American Express, so another well-ran company that he invested early on. He studied it, knew that they were going to be a very successful company. Gillette, the shaving company, another very good company, well-ran. So he invested in that company. And these are companies that he knew were going to be around for a long time. I mean, all these companies have been around forever.
When you look at that theory and, undervalued companies, and you look at the names that they are today, Coca-Cola, American Express, and Gillette Company, we would never look at those companies today and think they were ever undervalued. So that just speaks onto the genius that Warren Buffett was to be able to see that they were undervalued when he invested in them.
Exactly. Because at that time there wasn't, it wasn't a guarantee, right?
And you have to think, like, if Warren Buffett invested in these companies like Coca-Cola, we had spoken with Coca-Cola in the branding episode previously, and I think we said it's been around for over 100 years. So That means Coca-Cola was around since before Warren Buffett was born, and he's still seen it as an undervalued company. He didn't look at the past of Coca-Cola and said, they haven't done so well up until this point. He still saw through that and invested in them. And today, look where it got him.
Exactly. I mean, to invest in him, to invest in that company, 50 years after the company's already been established, and to figure out that it's still, like you said, undervalued, but yet recognize that this company is still going to take off. It's still well ran, and it's going to probably remain dominant. I mean, that's absolutely just genius.
So that's what reading 600 to 1,000 pages a day will do for you, I guess.
Exactly, right. And I mean, if you look at another interesting fact, and I was telling Marco about this before the show, Warren Buffett is not tech savvy at all. He does everything with pen and paper. He has a flip phone. I think there's an interview with him that I think actually it was Bill Gates that did an interview with him. And, he was showing him his flip phone. And I believe they said he's probably to this day only written about maybe 1 or 2 emails in his life.
That's unbelievable.
He's worth $600 billion. So, I mean,
we talk about how we're in the digital age, and this man does not care.
That's right. Hey,
maybe we should be investing in pen and paper.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, at his point, he's like, man, I'm 88. I don't care about iPhone. If he
can read 600 to 1,000 pages a day, imagine what he can write. He could probably write quicker than most of us can type on a computer.
Oh, probably. Absolutely. Exactly. And if you look at his, he's got a stack of newspapers that he reads, and it's probably, every major newspaper in the US that he reads every day. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably got, the Globe and Mail or whatever it is, the New York. What's the New York paper there? The
New York Times.
New York Times. He's probably got, every single one of those papers. He's got a stack of them, and he's in there all day. He's like, I spent all day reading. That's all I do. If you haven't had a chance, go check out his documentary. It's called Becoming Warren Buffett. It came out 2017. It's a couple years ago. There's some great interviews with him where they question, some of the things that he does and how he became who he was. And just, it's just interesting. You got to be interested to tap into the mind of Warren Buffett, because he's such a different minded person from everybody else, from, even from the age of 10. He was not a normal kid. He wanted to go to the New York Stock Exchange, not Disney World. You know what I mean? So if you went to Disney World, he'd probably be like, how do I invest in this place? This is crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny that it popped up in my head, but the way you're talking about how he's such a different mind just reminds me, like, if fans of Prison Break, he's like the Schofield of the investing world. He's right. He's that genius.
Yeah. Great show, by the way. I love Prison Break. So yeah, Warren Buffett, in conclusion, he's the best example of how finding a winning strategy. He took his own and strategy. He created a new type of strategy. Ignored what everybody said. He didn't care. He wasn't afraid of rejection. He wasn't afraid of failure. he did fail. I mean, most business owners are going to fail. You're going to fail. There's a stat out there that says, you'll fail 3 or 4 times or 10 times before you succeed or something like that. He generated extraordinary results and he's very wealthy for it and has a really, really amazing company called Berkshire Hathaway.
I'm gonna leave like an analogy on there for our sports fans and for people from Edmonton. It's like Ken Holland, our new GM, just said, you're gonna make mistakes, but it's about how many good decisions you make over the bad ones.
Exactly. And I mean, we could keep going with like different analogies. Like, I mean, it's not about how hard you fall. It's about how you get back up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, as cliche as it all is, it's true.
Yeah. This has been a pretty long episode, like you said. I'm kind of surprised at this one, but I think that pretty much concludes our topic today. You got anything else you wanted to add?
No, that was it. I mean, I absolutely enjoyed this episode. I think this was one of the funnest episodes we've had so far. I absolutely love talking about this kind of stuff, and I think we should have another one in the future. Let's talk about a couple other companies.
We've named a few already discussing this. So
absolutely, we can dig into those, and if you're interested in hearing any other company and we can dig into it, or you want us to talk about it, leave us a comment. Let us know.
And let us know if there's anything else you wanted in these reports. These are pretty basic, not basic. We went a little bit in depth, but there's other statistics that we can pull for you guys just for fun. We really enjoy this. This was, like Serge said, this was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, with that being said, if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave us a comment. Like Marco said, let us know if you want anything else in these reports. We'd love to do another show, maybe name some companies or whatever you'd like us to dig into and talk a little bit more about. Subscribe, hit the little thumbs up button. You'll get the notifications when we release episodes. If you're listening to us on our through podcast platforms like iTunes or Stitcher, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe there. Is there anything else, Marco?
Yeah, and just another note on the analysis thing. It doesn't have to be a business either. Like we did a whole thing on Warren Buffett here. If you guys want to hear about Elon Musk or something, let us know. The other thing I want to add in there, if you haven't gotten our book yet, check it out. Just subscribe to our email list. You'll get a free copy of Starting Your Wealth Project. It's basically going to take you through the starting steps of getting your business started on the right foot.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I think that's it for this week. So we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Project Podcast. Visit our website at thewealthprojectpodcast.com. See you next episode.